meeting at 2:35. We just give an opportunity for a few other members to join, then we can start. Thank you. Okay. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's webinar. My name is Suelanji Newa. I am a project assistant and I'm stationed at CIMMYT, Zambia. I'm so excited to be part of this February edition. Thank you so much for joining through. Today's topic is Inclusive Seed System, Unlocking Entrepreneurial Opportunities for Youth and Women in the Seed Sector. This will be presented by Jeremiah Sigala from Tanzania Wild Vegetable Center. Okay, so for those that are joining us for the first time that do not know much about EDI, just a brief understanding of what EDI is. So the Southern Africa, in full, EDI is the Southern Africa Accelerated Delivery Initiative. Rapid Delivery Hub is one of the ways in which CIMMYT is taking immediate action to help cushion the blow of high fuel and fertilizer prices on farmers. It provides critical support to millions of smallholder farmers by equipping them with the information and innovation they need to maintain or increase food production in the face of climate change and rising global costs, such as fuel, food, and fertilizer. Okay. So this is implemented by CIMMYT and the International Fertilizer Development Center. EDI employs demand-led market-based approach and operates through public, private, and civil society partnerships, including governments, research organizations, private sector businesses, and non-governmental organizations. So the initiative focuses on market-led, demand-driven approach along strategic value chains to achieve long-term impact. EDI enhances the capacity to deliver the services to smallholder farmers. Ultimately, it boosts agricultural productivity and resilience. So the initiative fast-tracks the scaling of delivery of agriculture interventions and innovations that are ready for broader implementation, aiming to provide timely support to millions of value chains. So that's just a brief about what EDI is. So like I indicated earlier, today's topic is going to be facilitated by Jeremiah Sigala. Maybe just a brief bio about Jeremiah before he comes on to take us through the presentation. Jeremiah is an expert in the field of agriculture with a passion of driving innovation and accelerating the delivery of technologies and to empower smallholder farmers. He has 9 years of working experience in research and development projects. He's become a trusted person in managing initiatives focusing on strengthening seed systems, improving value chains, and enhancing nutrition to contribute significantly to the food security systems. So as a technical lead for EDI at the World Vegetable Center, Jeremiah has been at the forefront of promoting inclusive seed systems that create entrepreneurial opportunities for youth and women. Through strategic partnerships with government, the private sector, and non-government organizations, he has worked to strengthen production, distribution,
Good day. I've just realized that Sui dropped off. Sui, are you good with your connectivity?
Yes, so sorry about that. Are you able to hear me, Tahila?
Yes, loud and clear. We can see you, we can hear you. Thank you so much for the introduction. Please continue.
Perfect. With a deep commitment to enhancing productivity in horticulture and farming, expanding entrepreneurial opportunities in the seed sector for youth and women, Jeremiah is very excited to share insights and updates regarding this webinar titled Inclusive Seed System: Unlocking Entrepreneurial Opportunities for Youth and Women in the Seed Sector. So without wasting much of time, I would like to introduce our speaker, Jeremiah Sigala, to take us through today's edition. Jeremiah, over. Maybe before you come in, just a quick reminder, please, if you have any question, feel free to write in the Q&A, and also you can write in the chat and we'll be able to address the questions at the end. Jeremiah, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Suilanji. Do you hear me?
Yes, you're clear.
Okay, thank you. So I'll proceed with my presentation as I have been already introduced by Suilanji. I'm working with the World Vegetable Center and also I'm based in Arusha. Our institution is also part of the AIDI program. We are supporting in the area of vegetable space in different regions around Tanzania. So today I'll be talking about inclusive seed systems, and I'll be focusing on unlocking entrepreneurial opportunity for youth and women in the seed sector. Maybe to understand the inclusive seed system, do you see the slide is moving?
Yes.
The second slide, please. I'm trying to click, but it's not moving. Yes, yeah, there we go.
Yes.
Okay, so the inclusive seed system. Here there are some areas where we want to consider when we talk about inclusive seed system. The first one, that the system should be to ensure equitable access to quality seeds. And this in our angle of vegetable space, we provide youth, women, and marginalized farmers with access to improved seeds and enhancing productivity and food security, because we want also to ensure self-sustenance in their community. And the second one is promote diversity and innovation. And this area, the inclusive seed system, it encourages participation from all segments of society, fostering innovation, sustainability, and the resilience in agriculture. And in other angle also, it is strengthening the agricultural value chain, and where it builds stronger seed value chain by involving diverse actors from seed production to distribution, encouraging sustainability and growth. And this angle where now we work both with the government agencies, other stakeholder, private sector, to make sure that we drive this one and we support youth and women to reach and gain what they need in the seed sector. And the last one, it enhanced climate resilience, where we focus on bringing close to farmers, particularly youth and women, the climate smart, nutrient-rich vegetables varieties, helping farmers to adapt to climate change. And this angle where now we introduce farmers with nutrient-dense vegetables And these vegetables are also adapted to climate. They have capacity to tolerate the heat, stress, and also drought. And also their tolerance to stress from insects and some pests and diseases. So in a nutshell, what I can say about inclusive seed system. Also, when we talk about inclusive system and why this one is for youth and women. Next slide, please. Yes, why focus on youth and women in city sector? The first one is because the youth, they have fresh ideas and they adapt very quickly to new technologies, and they are key in modernizing agriculture. We have few examples of this with the youth networks that we are working with. They are very quickly adapting to new technology. Like we had some technology where we used to inspect the seeds to see if they have viable seed and some are not viable. So if we include both groups from women and also youth, in our angle, we see that youth are the first to adapt new technologies. And also during the branding and selling their product, you can see that youth are very quick because you can see they are using their digital platform, social media to promote and sell their product, if you to compare to other women networks. So that's why our target was the youth. That's we see that youth are the driver of modernizing agriculture, especially in vegetable space. And women as a pillar in agriculture, you can see that women play a critical role in farming, household nutrition, and food security, but often face limited access to resources. And we have really example of this group of women, and you can see when it's come to seed production, processing, and grading, women are at the forefront of making that they produce quality seed, because you can see, for example, we have some groups of women in Zanzibar and also in northern Tanzania. They are producing seeds, but men, you'll not find them dealing with seed cleaning or graining or packaging. So they leave it to women. But nutrition, and we have been promoting that we use some of these nutrient-dense vegetables. Who are going to manage the household, maybe the home garden, the vegetable garden? You'll see that women are at the forefront of managing this. So we see that if we are going to empower women, then these are kind of group that we have to consider when it comes to inclusive seed system. And the last one is the entrepreneurial potential. You can see that if we support youth and women in the city sector, it creates employment opportunities, it reduces poverty, and also boosts the rural economies. Because most of our groups we are working with are located in the rural areas, and that is our target. Next slide, please. Okay, there is also a challenge in the city sector. In the city sector is not as smooth like we think. We still have some challenges that we need to address. So the first one, you can see the current challenge in city system is the limited access to quality hybrid variety due to high cost. So you can see that we are working with the private seed companies. They are selling different hybrid varieties. I'll give you example of onion crop in northern Tanzania. So farmers, they don't prefer hybrid. They'll go to OPV, which is produced by women groups and youth groups because of the cost, because the hybrid is very expensive, is even 50% more than the seed that are produced by this group, youth and women networks that or intervention that we are working together with CIMMYT, but also beyond this project, you can see that women are producing the seeds and the communities rely on this seed if you compare to hybrid. So the cost criteria is very important here. That's why most of farmers, they turn to grow their own seed and sell. And to make sure that we maintain the quality of the seed, we decide to establish this kind of intervention to help our farmers and youth and women to make sure that they produce quality seed, they sell, and also they get income from this. And the second one is inadequate distribution of networks due to limited seed retailers. And this happens especially in rural areas. You can see that the number of agro dealers are not distributed based on the location where these farmers are located. So you can find even those who are there, they don't have plenty of diversity of varieties that the farmers are looking for. So this tends to make farmers to produce seeds themselves. And if we don't have backup to monitor them, train them, and give them the capacity to produce quality seed also for business and therefore community use, then we'll be lacking the accessibility and availability of quality seed. And on the other side, the regulatory hurdles such as licensing requirement, these are challenges that we are facing. So for example, some of farmers, they don't know how they can be licensed. For example, I give you example of Tanzania. For farmer who need to produce seed, will need to be registered and licensed by the TOSCI. And TOSCI is Tanzania Seed Certification Institute who grant farmers to produce quality seed. And if you have not been registered by TOSCI, that means you are not required to produce any kind of seeds, and it cannot be identified as a seed, and it will be maybe categorized as a grain and not seed. You need first to get approval from TOSCI. So farmers, to get this approval and this certification, it can take time. But if you have facilitation, especially like what we are doing under ADI, it helps a lot and thousands of farmers. And also there is also barriers for youth and women, which is common also to some areas in Tanzania and also other countries. Financial concerns such as limited access to credit and also limited technical knowledge and insufficient support service such as training, program and mentorship. When it comes to youth, normally you don't need to do only training. You need also to include mentorship, and you have to have a follow-up program for them to adopt kind of technology and innovation that you are delivering to these networks. So if you do just training and they say maybe 5 training have been conducted and then there is no any kind of mentorship and also maybe backup follow-up, then I think based on our experience, the adoption of this technology and innovation will be very, very minimal. There are also opportunity for youth and women in the seed sector. And also the first one is the seedling and the seed production venture. So we have a network of youth that they can also work as a seedlings producer, and also they can work as a seed producer as well. And based on our experience, we can see a number of youth networks, they prefer seedlings business, and a number of women networks, they prefer seed production. So this has become very convenient to them. So when you combine now seedlings and seed production, then you tackle the needs of youth and women in seed business. So you can see that they also need some certification process and also train them on business cases and meet with the growing demand and quality of required seeds. And also there is also opportunity for training. We have some institution like World Vegetable Center that provided training program to youth and also provided some quality control and business management, essential skills. These all resources are there, but sometime in order to reach more youth, we need some resources. That's why we decided to start with the youth and the women network in part of Zanzibar and also part of Tanzania, northern part of Tanzania, because of the limited resources. But as the resources increase, we can even meet more number of youth in our country. Another one is the market opportunity. Increase in demand itself for quality seed is a market opportunity. For example, if you see in Tanzania, I showed you one of example of access to hybrid seed is still a challenge for onion, but even accessing this variety to produced by farmers is easy and also affordable, because you can see that the cost of this seed that is produced by women is even cheaper by 50% compared to those that are hybrid. So most of youth and women, they'll go and buy this one from their fellow youth and women groups instead of buying the hybrid varieties. And the last one is the support system. This issue like linkages, loans, and mentorship program are available to help youth and women establish and scale their seed business. In our case, we are not providing loan as a money, but we are providing material loan. For example, we are working with network of agro dealer and seed companies, and when they need to produce seeds, whether it's the fresh produce, they will need some inputs like fertilizer, this pesticide, and also kind of inputs that they need to produce seeds. So we give them as a material loan for them to use, and when they harvest, they return back to the input supplier. So we're working with this kind of linkage and also linkage to market. This all kind of support are there. That's why there is opportunity. If we join effort together, we can even support more and more youth and women in our countries. So far we have been working, as I said, in different parts of our country, and we have achieved some results. For example, to date, we have already reached youth and women more than 10,000 who have received training on business cases, training on how to raise seedlings, training on how to use agrochemicals, because we are facing challenge of overuse of these chemicals in spraying, for example, in leafy vegetables and onions because of this devastating insect of thrips that are causing damage to onions. So the use of chemicals and also knowledge of business skills, these are part of area where we focus during the training. And we have already reached 4,500. These are some of the business that we have already established. So you can see that we train a lot of women, but those who adopted and take initiative, they have already started doing their business, and more than 4,000. Now we are going to 60,000, and we are estimating that by mid of the year we'll reach even 8,000, because there are so many initiatives that are going on, and more youth now are turning to engage on this kind of business. And now you can see, based on the business they are doing, the average that they are gaining in one season, production season, I mean, in 3 months, they are gaining average of $1,080. And this is the average for other crops. But when it comes to onions, even more, it can reach even to 3,000 per season. And we have already reached over 5.3 million. These are seedlings which are produced by youth networks from Zanzibar up to northern Tanzania. And our women groups, they have produced seeds of more than 40 tons. And these are seed from vegetable alone, including onions, African eggplant, amaranth, African nightshade, and Ethiopian kale. These are kind of seed that are producing in these areas. And we try to link them with the private sector, as I said, the agro dealers and the other stakeholder, including providing training on certification. So we have linked them to more than 50 private sector firms. So this is kind of achievement that under this program we have achieved. And now you can see that more than 100 youth and women receive certification. So this is a great achievement. As I said, this was one of the challenge for them to be certified, because some of them maybe after training, they don't follow the condition and the guidelines for seed production. But if you apply now mentorship and follow-up, then we managed to register more than 100 who received the formal certification, and they are now the venture that they can produce quality seed. So as I said that we are working in Zanzibar and in northern Tanzania. So for those of you that you don't know where is Zanzibar, this is the map of Zanzibar, and it includes both two major islands, which is Unguja and Pemba. And also in the northern Tanzania, we are working in 3 regions, including Arusha, Manyara, and Kilimanjaro. You'll see this map in the next slide. I think it's delaying to come. Yes, this one, Arusha, Kilimanjaro, and Manyara. This is the area where we are working with our youth and women networks. And this is an example of women we are working with. There is a mix of youth and women groups. These are located in Ngalenanyuki village in Meru district in Arusha region. So you can see the photos telling us, showing us their activity from soil media preparation, seed sowing, seedlings management. So these are daily activities. So in this category here, as I said that they are making money by selling these vegetable seedlings and generating an average of 1,800 per 3 months. That means per growing season. Although for use themselves, they sell these seedlings per month. That means in every 4 weeks, they sell the matured seedlings to other outgrowers. And this one also, I would like to show you some youth and women group in Barazani village in Lake Eyas, Manyara region. These are dedicated on producing seeds from onions, and also we are connecting them with market, and we are giving them the platform to promote their product, and also to engage with the also buyers and other stakeholders who can also link them to other secondary markets. And that is example for youth and women group who are engaged in the seed fair. And the seed fair is part of the initiative that we are working together with CIMMYT. And so far we have already conducted more than 7 seed fair from Zanzibar, Kilimanjaro, Manyara, and also in Arusha. So for future direction, what we are now looking for is to expand the training program, increase seed production capacity, enhance market access for youth and women. In this context here, I mean even to expand to other areas where we have not reached. For example, in Tanzania, we have a number of youth and women who like to engage in this kind of seedling production as a business. We have a network of farmers in Singida where we don't have capacity to reach there due to limited resources. We have also capacity to reach farmers in other districts in Manyara region who are also focusing on producing this vegetable, including onions, garlic. But those also they are focused, they want us to produce seeds, but we don't have the enough resources to support them. And also our future direction is to integrate digital tool for access to finance. And this is, we are exploring the opportunity that to engage as a financial institution to simplify access to finance. For example, now, if you need to access even little money, you need to go to bank or to other finance institution to access for fund. But our idea is we want to have the mobile app where these smallholder farmers, they can even get some money, apply using the mobile app instead of going to where maybe the bank is located. So this process here, we want to shorten this process to simplify access to loans, particularly to this youth and women network that we are working with. And also to think collaboration with government, NGO, and the private sector. Especially, we want to engage even more TOSCI, the Tanzania City Certification Agency, because we need even more city producer to be certified and be licensed so they can have the capacity and also be recognized as a city producer. And also we would like also to promote policies supporting youth and women in the city sector, including access to finance, contract farming, land access, and training. This comes that we have women networks who are producing seed. They started under our program, producing seed for their community, but now they have the capacity to produce it for seed companies. We have some number of seed companies, especially in Arusha, who are buying this seed from these youth networks. So if we can have a policy, a very friendly policy to support our farmers, and particularly on contract farming where they are facing challenge here, and we need the regulatory agents to support them under the Ministry of Agriculture and the other ministries, so they can have a profit. Because now what we see that the seed companies are gaining a lot of profit than the women networks who are producing these seeds. So far from this intervention, what we have learned, the key success factors for our intervention is access to technical training, which was coordinated by the World Vegetable Center, and also to the provision of material loan, particularly for input supplier, and a strong market linkage was this one contribute to successful youth and women-led seed business. And the second one, the challenge that we addressed, this one was the high production cost, giving them the alternative, especially the OPV, because the hybrid was very expensive. So we introduced them to OPV varieties where they can produce and even sell this one to seed companies. And the regulatory hurdles where we managed now to bring in TOSC so they can help start licensing this network and be recognized as a seed producer, and the limited infrastructure where we train them on how now to improve the irrigation system and also how they are using agrochemicals and other farming equipments. And also the opportunity for improvement that we see is to increase the training program. As I said, that we have also other community of farmers and youth networks that we have not reached, and also supporting development of seed business cases, because for them, not all farmers, they are aware of seed business or seedlings business. They need to face the training and also they take them through the how to develop the business cases and how to manage and strengthen the supportive policies. So these are areas that we need also to do more in the future if we will be having enabling environment, including the resources. And this is our call to our partners who have been with us and the potential donors that we need more funding to expand the support for youth and women network in the city sector in Tanzania. And also we want to address this because we see there is a plenty of opportunity in this angle. Also, we can consider other countries, neighbor countries, that they have the friendly and supporting policy, that they allow even women networks and the youth networks also to produce seeds as a business. I know that there's a number of countries that don't allow youth and also they don't allow women to produce seeds. But this is our call for those countries that have supportive policies to support even farmers to produce. And we can adopt different models. It can be making them as outgrowers, like we are doing here in Arusha, selling this seed to private seed companies. And also they can even be trained themselves to grade, pack and sell as a OPV seed produced by women networks. And this will lead to job creation, increase income generation, and improve livelihood, enhance food and nutrition security. I would like to thank you all for your keen and attention to my presentation. Then I will leave this now to Suwilanji.
Thank you so much, Jeremiah. That was a very insightful presentation. I've taken down notes. More than 10,000 cases of youth and women being trained and mentored. That's great impact. Congratulations to you and your team for doing a wonderful job. So at this point, I do have a set of questions myself, but I'll leave it open first to the team, to our audience. If there's any question, please feel free to raise your hand and I'll be able to unmute you and then you can proceed with your question. Or alternatively, you could type your question in the chat and Jeremiah will be able to answer the question. Any questions? Do we have any questions from the team? Okay, maybe while they're trying to write the question in the chat box, I just want to comment and applaud Jeremiah and your team. Empowering women for sure in agriculture is a key pathway to improving food security and poverty alleviation. I think that's the way to go because agriculture is a backbone of every African country. So congratulations once again. Maybe just a quick question to you. How do you did mention in your presentation that there's limited access to quality seed. So how do you maximize the opportunity that you have to limited access of seed? How do you maximize that opportunity? First question. And then the second question is, what are the main barriers that you did identify with your team that prevented the youth and the women from accessing quality seeds and agricultural resources within your region that inspired you to take the initiative to introduce such a program? Okay, so if you could answer those two questions for me, I'll be most grateful. Over to you, Jeremiah.
Okay, thank you, Sulanchi. When it comes to access to seed, the quality seed, it can be in two angles. It can be not physically accessible and maybe not available because of the cost. But based on our network that we have, we find that some areas where this youth and women network are located, they are very fertile and they are very potential for producing seeds. But they don't know technical know-how where to source seed now for production and how now to produce the seeds, because they used to produce as a fresh produce. For example, I give example of onion. They were used to sell even onion bulb, but selling seed was something new to them. So what we introduced to them first, where they can access seed for them to start. So that's our entry point. And the second, to train them that you can even produce the seed, not only onion, and show them some business cases that you compare. If you produce seed, how much you'll get, and if you sell as a bulb, how much you can get. So you can see now they can combine to reduce the risk, because some of them that they need also to combine this. For example, I'll give an example of one of the youth that they are combined. They have 4 acres of land. 2 acres are producing seed and 2 acres they are producing as a bulb. So at some moment when maybe the price of seed is maybe lower, they sell this one as a bulb. And also, when they see that the price for bulb is high, they are tempted to sell all of them as a bulb. So now we tried now to include them in the mentorship program to teach them that you need also to maintain consistency to your buyers. Even if the price for bulb is very high, you have also to maintain consistency. You have to maintain seed that you can sell, and also even people, they will be looking for seed, then they can account for you. So that is what I can say, that we helping them with access where they can find seed as a starter, because they want to produce seed. Because not only every grain you can use as a seed, you need also to follow this basic practice of producing quality seed.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeremiah. I've seen there's a question from Hambulo. He's saying, good job, Jeremiah. You can also reemphasize the specific crops targeted here. The seed system for vegetables is unique. So I think please emphasize a specific crop target here.
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, that for seed production, the high return that we encourage youth and women network to produce was onion. And I mentioned that we have network of these onion farmers who produce seed in Arusha and also Manyara that we are working with. But for other vegetable crops like tomato, African eggplant, and also some leafy vegetables, most of youth, they are working on producing as seedlings. And they are doing this because they are reducing the loss, because most of farmers, the way that they used to produce seedlings, they are using the old method that they tend to lose a lot of seedlings. But also they are reducing the time. They are reducing time because the youth, they don't want to do this on-farm production. They don't want to do that, especially for youth that we are working with. So the aim of them dividing the responsibility, that youth now produce seedlings, and the other ordinary farmers, they take seedling from youth and continue with the on-farm production. So those are a few crops that I can mention. I think I answered this question for Ambul.
Okay, thank you so much. While we are waiting for more questions from the team, please feel free to write in the chat as well as in the Q&A section, and then Jeremiah will be able to address the question. Jeremiah, maybe another question. How have you managed to address the limited technical knowledge as you have been implementing this program?
Yes, for limited knowledge that they have, we tried to
Mhm.
go together with other partners, especially the government agents, because for seed and seeding is very critical. You can see now in Tanzania, even the seedlings producer, they need to be also certified. So they need also to undergo training, and also the task that I mentioned to you, they will come and give them certificate they are qualified to produce the seedlings. Because remember, seedlings also can be turned as a seed, because you need seedlings to produce the plant. So even
Oh,
for
yes.
women networks as well, they need also to undergo this training. So initially, for them to proceed like this, some of the question were there. For example, we collected some samples before starting this intervention to different youth network to see type of seed that they have. We tested for germination, we tested for uniformity, and some of them, the germination was even 35%, 40%, which is even below recommended value of 85 or 90%. So we realized that there is a gap here in quality seed production, and we need to capacitate this kind of youth group and women networks to make sure they know the basis and the principle of quality seed production.
Okay, wow. Thank you so much. And it's always good to have, collaborative entities come together towards a common goal. Like you've indicated, the government talks TOSCI as well. So I think it's always important when different stakeholders come together. I think the impact is vast, and hence, like you did indicate, that there's more than 5,000 successful seed businesses that have been established. As a sole implementer, it wouldn't have been possible had it not been for collaborative efforts. So thank you so much, Jeremiah. Do we have any further question for Jeremiah?
Maybe to add this to Ilanji, we have a very specific network of women that we have for those who are producing seeds and sell it to private seed companies. We have 5 private seed companies. I will not mention their name because of business privacy, and with
Okay.
their have their offices here in Arusha, and some also they have office in Nairobi. So these companies, they are buying this seed to these farmers. So they turn them to be outgrower of produced seed for them. But they have sometimes specific conditions. So to provide this tailor-made training, we just organize these youth women networks that we have been recruited, and we do training together with the seed company who are buying these seeds, because they can provide the specific guidance, what they are looking for that kind of seed for them to buy. So those are specific groups that have been also graduated that they can produce seeds for seed companies.
Okay, wow, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Jeremiah. So there's a question for you in the chat. What are some of the biggest challenges you are facing in making sure that more women access these opportunities? And then there's another question in the chat from Enoch. It's saying, what is the sustainability? Sorry, I'm unable to just scroll down. Just a second. Okay, I'm unable to. Okay. What is the sustainability plan for these innovations? So 2 questions. What is the biggest challenge that you have experienced in ensuring that women receive access to these opportunities? And what is the sustainability plan? Over to you, Jeremiah.
Yes, what I can say, most of the networks we are working with, they are very ambitious and eager to engage on this kind of seed and seedling production. But the challenge that we are facing as is limited resources to even reach more. So that's why we are ending to reach very limited number of farmers in our angles. And for sustainability angles, that's why we bring on board private sector. You can see we have a private sector in seedlings production. We have private sector in seed production. How? The private sector are the main source for seed for these youth networks who are dealing with seed production. And also they are working together with the private sector in promoting their business and also even developing and also supporting business of these youth networks. So even if the project fails, this youth network, they can continue doing this because we have already created a very close linkage with the private sector. And the private sector, particularly on vegetable, they are relying for seed producers to promote their product. So they give some time, they test seed, for example, for free, just to introduce this product to ordinary farmers. And also they are giving them platform to promote their product. That means different seedlings varieties. For example, private sector, if they have new variety, they'll go to youth networks who are producing seedlings. They'll tell them produce these seedlings, and then they market it together with the private sector. So for that one, for me, that I see is very sustainable for the future.
Okay,
And for
thank you
the
so
angle of seed production, the private sector, they continue to do business, so they can buy seeds to this women network. So that one is also sustainable.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeremiah. So there's a question from Noble. He's saying, what's the perception of men so far towards this initiative, having them being left out? And as you're addressing that, are you able to provide specific case studies of economic impact on a youth and a woman who were direct beneficiaries for your intervention? So these two questions: what's the perception of men so far towards this initiative, considering that they were left out? And are you able to provide case studies of beneficiaries, economic impact of a woman and a man? Thank you.
Yes. So for that, maybe I can start with how this one has changed their lives. We have an example of youth that are dealing with the seed production, but also they are studying at university. They are studying at Isuza University. This is Zanzibar State University. So most of the tuition fee they are paying is from this business because they have their own group or 10 youth. They are producing seedlings and they have capacity of producing 50,000 seedlings per month. So when they go to maybe to college in the morning, in the evening, they come do irrigating the seedlings and they sell. So during weekend, they are using this time to distribute these seedlings to other farmers. And they are producing this in an order basis. So that one, for me, I see is the impact for them because they are using this money and also they are using this money also to help their parents. We have one parent who is living in Unguja. They use this money also to build a fence because their house was facing some challenges. Some people was stealing their property. So from this money, they gave their parent to build the fence because these youth are also living with their parents. For them, I think that is a challenge. It is a positive impact for them. Also, we have another mother who is living also in Karatu district in Arusha, who also dealing with the seed production for onion. Is using this money to pay for tuition fee for the lady who is studying at Dar es Salaam University in they call it UDSM in short in Dar es Salaam. So that money that she paid for them, I think for us is a very positive impact. So the seed business also is changing their lives.
Wow, thank you so much. That's very impactful indeed. You haven't yet addressed the other question from Noble. He did indicate to say, how have the men taken this initiative, considering that they've been left out? What has been their response?
Yes, yes. So for men, there are sometimes I can say partial contributing to seed business and supporting women, but the challenge for them is during seed processing. When you harvest the seed, now you are starting manual processing, cleaning, grading, then they leave this to women. And so they are very interested on seed business, but when it comes to grading, processing, they'll leave it to women. And those men, we have few men who are dealing with seed production, but they have to call women to come and help them with this exercise. That's why most of them, they are not interested.
Okay, so are they showing Are they upset? Are they okay with the initiative, given that even if they are not doing as much as the women are they okay with that initiative? For example, if there's a couple, is the husband okay that the wife is participating in this and he cannot be a partaker of the initiative? Is that, how is that?
Yes, I would say yes, they are very supportive, but their direct engagement now is a challenge. But we have alternative for that. We came up with an idea of using now the machine to process seed. We started with 2 crop, tomato and the African eggplant. And we engaged our colleague who is working in Arusha, CIMMYT, because we have a model machine here we are using. If you have maybe 1 acre or 2 acre, and you have a lot of tomato you want to extract seed. So instead of using just the manual, using hand, so we have a very portable machine, but it was just one. So we wanted to scale it to others, but we wanted to engage CIMMYT to reproduce if they can have more of this kind of machine, and to engage our partners and the donors to provide resources, so we can even attract more men now to come in the seed business, because now we have alternative of using the machine to extract the seed and also for drying and processing steps.
Okay, wow. You are doing wonderful works, you and your team. Congratulations to the great job so far. So I think I did understand, you did indicate that it's a specific region that you're supporting. Do you have other youths and women that are reaching out to you that would like the program to roll out in their respective region? And how are you addressing that? I know that the chances are that it will come back to, we need more funding, donors to intervene. So how are you addressing that, given that there's limited funding for now?
Yes, for our case, we received some requests from Singida. There is youth groups there, they organize themselves. Maybe something that I didn't mention, we are also using the radio program to disseminate this kind of innovations. So through the radio program that was conducted in Arusha, they heard it from the radio station that we heard that you are teaching other people on this kind of area for seed production. How can we access that kind? We have a very huge land. We are dealing with seed, but we are not doing at that standard you are talking. So what we did, we have already conducted one training with it was in collaboration with the seed companies, including our partner Holland Green Tech, and who is also part of the AIDI program. We trained them, and it was online. That we was training them physically, but it was also aired online, so they can even listen. So, but for them, they want us to go physically to them, and that was a challenge. And we said we cannot come to Singida and support you, but what we can give you, you can listen to the radio.
And pick up some of the technical know-how, eh? Wow, okay, that's so nice. Very, very impactful. Do we have any other question for Jeremiah? We have a few more minutes, so in case there's any other question, please feel free to type in the chat as well as in the Q&A section. So for today, we were looking at inclusive seed system, unlocking entrepreneurial opportunities for youth and women in the seed sector. That was our topic for this edition. Do we have any further questions? Very interesting conversation, Jeremiah. I'm seeing there are a lot of it's an opportunity for us to harvest a lot of change stories. You're doing wonderful work. Maybe just to my last question. So the 4,000 businesses that have been successfully established, what does this entail? Do they have specific locations where they're open and they're able to sell their seed? Their seed. What does it look like when you say they're established? Aside the certification, I think you did mention that there's a certification that was ongoing. So aside the certification, what else does that look like?
Yes, for those, that means they have now, for example, I can say even every season, they have assurance that they have already entered the contract It can be with the seed companies, or they have the robust database of farmers who are buying seedlings. So in the context of this one, it's not somebody who built maybe a store who's selling some product. No, but some of them are mobile. For example, youth who are distributing seedlings, they have this structure like the net tunnel on a net shed where they produce their seedlings, but they use their motor bike to deliver these seedlings to farmers. So that is the structure of that business. So we have number of this business, as I said, in Zanzibar and also in these 3 regions in northern Tanzania. And also in the seed production, as I said, most of them, they are producing and selling to seed companies. But we have number of them, like the one that I gave you example in Karatu, who they produce themselves, they pack in small pack and sell even to farmers because they have that permission from our seed quality regulatory agency, TOSC.
Okay. Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for very insightful conversation, wonderful presentation. I've written down and I've learned quite a lot. You're doing a wonderful job. You and your team are doing a wonderful job. Congratulations once again. So for today, we're looking at inclusive seed system and looking at entrepreneurial opportunities for youth and women in the seed sector. This was presented by Jeremiah Sigala, EDI Technical Lead from World Vegetable Center. It was great to have you. Thank you to the attendees, our participants, for asking those insightful questions. Thank you so much to everyone. Jeremiah, do you have any last comment before we close the edition for today?
Now, I would like to thank all audience for listening to my presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Jeremiah. Thank you all for logging in. Have a wonderful rest of the day. We'll see you again in March. Thank you. Thank you, Jeremiah. Bye-bye.